Hello VC, welcome to my channel. Tony here, Tony's LPs Are Us. And today we're going to talk about my latest acquisition from Walmart, exclusive deep red vinyl, 35th anniversary edition of this classic self-titled Tracy Chapman LP from April of 1988. Now in its 37th year actually, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So stay where you are. Appreciate you stopping by. If you haven't subbed, please consider subbing to our channel. Thank you. We are back. Thank you. Tony back. LPs Are Us. We had the Elvis light on, so we are rolling. And today I'm going to talk about briefly my impressions of this Walmart exclusive. I know a ton of people are distributing this. Rhino, I think all the record shops have it. I'm not sure if Target has it, but this is, someone wrote to me the other day when I unboxed it and said that this was a rare color, deep red vinyl. I actually went to 3 Walmarts. After I bought this, I went to 2 other Walmarts and no one else has it in stock. You know, no one there knew if they had it, but nothing in stock. So I was happy to find this, and I'm going to talk about it. Before I do, we'll just show you the insert. This has the lyrics, and I recommend when you listen to this record, if you're listening to it for the first time, like I did, first time again, I heard it on CD, but you know, just in passing in the car and things. But if you read these lyrics, they're very poignant, and it's amazing what this young girl did at, you know, as a teenager. I think talking about a revolution. She penned that when she was 16 years old. So that's it. This also has what the original came with, which someone told me I wasn't sure because I didn't have the original, with all the lyrics, different languages, Italian, German, French. So that was really cool. And another viewer told me that the first time that occurred was on Joe Jackson's Big World double album. I believe that was a double album. I have that, and I wasn't aware of that, but like I told him, at least that fit the scenario. Big World, it had music from around the globe type of music, and that fit. But this, very innovative. I don't believe a lot of acts did it since. I could be wrong. 1988 was a pretty big year for music. We had hits by Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, Faith by George Michael's, Rattle and Hum was out, U2, which I have. I don't have a lot of records from 88. There's a Metallica, there's an Iron Maiden record out. It's called Spirit Son of the Seventh Son. You know, very bluesy, right? Green by REM. Spirit of Eating, Talk, that's a great one. So there was some great music out in 88. Dirty Dancing, Roll With It, Steve Winwood, which is what I have. Tons of great records, but I don't think anything like this that actually broke the 200 barrier or below 200 barrier of Billboard at that time. If I didn't say it in the preview, this record was released on 4/5/88, so that would make it about 37 years old. The reason this has a sticker on it for 35th anniversary is because this was supposed to come out 2 years ago, but because of the COVID pandemic and I think the supply chain and things with her producer or Elektra, it didn't see the light of day until now, so we're real happy to have this. This is, as you know, a very hard to find OG. Even though there's 20 million copies, just like there's hard to find a good copy of Sgt. Pepper's. This is probably rarer, but just to find a good copy of even that Talk I just talked about, that's a rare record. So, and what comes to mind when I heard this record was that, wow, this record seems fresh. It seems as it appeared to me it could have been recorded last year, 5 years ago, this year, or whatever. And here's the record again. That's the hype sticker with the shrink. I'll show you the beautiful translucent blood red vinyl, ruby red vinyl. And this only clocks in at around 30 something minutes. Side one is ultra quick. Side one, I didn't time it, but you put it on and it's over. And that's a testament to how good it is as well, because you're hearing these songs and you're just anticipating what's going to come next. And I think that anticipation creates a quicker album. It could be the opposite. A good sounding record maybe elongates the experience, but in this case, it's just a short record, and I believe it clocks in at around 35 minutes or so for a total, which isn't a lot. You figure 16 minutes aside, and side one, which has Fast Car, which I'll talk about, and these other great songs talking about a revolution, which she wrote when she was 16. But overall, I'm very happy with the sound on this. This feels like a 180 gram vinyl. Doesn't have any markings to say it is. And this is a Walmart exclusive, so I'm thinking it's the same works that Rhino used, or whoever cut it for Rhino. I know some folks have said Bernie cut it for Rhino. I checked, but I couldn't find 100% on that, and I just did that quickly. So much I want to talk about with this record. But first of all, just a great record. I listened to this record literally 4 times last night. My wife was saying, how many more times are you going to listen to it? So then I would put it back on because she interrupted me. So it went back on, the track started again. So I did not know this record. I just knew Talking About a Revolution, of course, Fast Car. I knew Behind the Wall had some social value to it, some social meaning to it. And all of these songs scream of an individual, of a young girl in this case, that was trying to do better, run from her claustrophobic environment in a way, and she talks about the injustice that certain peoples get into. There's one song, Behind the Wall, where she talks about, I call the police, but sometimes the police don't come. And that's about domestic violence, talking about a revolution, the injustice of what some people have to endure. And what actually struck me is that 37 years have passed, and some situations have improved, but some haven't, and some have gotten worse. But you all know that, so I would say listen to this record. TRACY plays acoustic and electric guitar on here. And on one of these tracks, it might be a Mountain of Things, or She's Got Her Own Ticket. Man, she sounds like Mark Knopfler on some of these tracks. One of the tracks, Why, has a great percussion section with Polito Di Costa, does bongos and percussion. Jack Holder is a great organ player. He plays the Hammond organ on that song. Talking About a Revolution, congos and drums and percussion, and Hammond organ is in that tune. Fast Car, you all know Fast Car. And when Fast Car was going to be released as a single, the record companies and the suits, as we call them, wanted to edit that down to more of a AM friendly, radio friendly, and TRACY would have nothing to do with that. She said either it goes out in its full length or it doesn't go out at all, and she won that battle. So it's a little longer. I'm not sure the exact length, but it's a little longer than the average AM record at that point, 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, or whatever. If you go back and watch my unboxing, I talk about the record in more detail, but here I'm just going to talk about the sound. I listened to it with the tubes. My tubes were warmed up. I have a tube system. Sounded great. I got really nice separation, good sound stage. It's not the best sounding record. It's not, I would say, Asia, but it's not a one-step, right? It's a commercial release, 180 released for the masses, not a numbered record or not a Rhino special edition, high fidelity. But the record sounds great, and as I listened to it, it just got better. It's dead quiet. I heard a little bit of not noise, but a little bit of little hiss in between some tracks, especially with Behind the Wall, which is a very stripped down record. It's just her and guitar, and she's singing that basically a cappella. So the tracks on here are great. It's a quick record. It's a quick study. It's fresh. It doesn't sound like anything that I went over on this list. Doesn't sound like Metallica. It doesn't sound like the Waterboys. Fisherman Blues was an 88. It doesn't sound like Rattlin' Hum, except some Rattlin' Hum has that gospel feel to it. When I first heard this last night, the first things that come to mind to me were early Joni Mitchell, and of course, people say Joan Armatrading, of course, Joan and Phoebe Snow. So, you know, your typical singer-songwriter, female singer-songwriters. But this record doesn't sound dated to me at all, even though it's 37 going on 38 years old. But it didn't sound like anything else that came out back then. Now, if you listen to Dirty Dancing, the soundtrack for the film, that sounds dated to me. It sounds like an 80s record. One of these tracks had that 80s drum in it a bit, where I could sense don't know how to articulate it, but you know, that Phil Collins type of 80s drums, but very slight, you know, not overpowering. This doesn't sound like a Stevie Wonder record from 88, which Roll It definitely isn't Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, just to name a few. If you go on Wikipedia, you could see the entire list of records that came out in 88. Now, this record was nominated 6 times for a Grammy. It won Best New Artist, Best Rock Performance, Pop Performance, and Best Female Performance. Now, this record also had the stigma of being considered a folk record, and TRACY says, I'm not folk. So TRACY's not folk. But when I heard this record, I thought about a debut record from this young girl who was maybe 25 at the time. You know, my math is fuzzy, but young girl, it harkened me back to listening to, and I know this is a stretch, but I get that same vibe because there's so much talent in these tracks and so much maturity in these tracks. Like, how can a young girl, she wrote every track, and she maintained ownership of these records. And that's why she said, I need to get this record reissued, because all the copies I have, her, TRACY, said that I'm wearing them out. Okay, she's really proud of this record. So apparently she couldn't get a record to play, and she says this has to be re-released. This is one of the few records that a first debut artist controls her destiny. She controls the publishing, I guess, and everything that goes with it. But when I heard her, some of these stark, stripped down vocals, center stage with an acoustic guitar, or even an electric guitar that's very, you know, not over amplified. Like I said, one track I thought it was Mark Knopfler, and I saw that she played electric guitar. And when you hear it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So I heard some Robert Johnson, the early recordings, 1936 or whatever, Robert Johnson's recordings that he did in Texas and another state. You know, back in the day, his only recordings. But I got that sense of talent and timelessness, because even Robert Johnson's records that are over, you know, 90 years old now or something, still sound fresh to me. This entire record sounds fresh. It really sounds good on my system, and it got better sounding. That's what I was going to bring up after I played another record. And what's interesting, I played this record like 2 times over. It's quick. It's an hour. Then I played some Dylan, right, from the Portrait album. One side, Self-Portrait, and then I put on Quadrophenia to clean my palate, if I will. I wanted to cleanse the palate. So I listened to side 1 and side 2 of Quadropedia. I warned my dog that it's going to get loud in here. And then I put this back on, and it sounded better the last time I heard it. Really good acoustics, really good range. Even the missus, who never compliments on records, when we talked about this morning, she goes, that recording sounded pretty good. I said, well, I'm glad you said that, because that means a lot that she actually thought it sounded good. So if you could pick this up in either format, it's relatively an inexpensive record. I know Rhino has it listed on their site for $24. This is listed at Walmart for $24, but I don't think you could find the Ruby Red. I think someone told me that these are rare at this point, but I'll continue to monitor Walmarts because I'm always out and about. And if I can find another one, I'll pick it up just to hold on to it. So Tracy Chapman's 1988 record sounds as fresh as if it was recorded yesterday. I get so many hints of Joni Mitchell, Joan, Phoebe. You can name singer-songwriters. I think she was even involved with producers that produced Cat Stevens, so you could get that. But she rocks on this. Her vocals are there. They're not. She doesn't have the greatest voice, but just like Dylan doesn't have the greatest voice, or Rod Stewart doesn't have the greatest voice, but it's distinctive. You know, it's distinctive, and that's what the emotion. It's emotional. She talks about all the injustices that have occurred. I've got plenty of notes, which I'm not even going to read. But originally, this was supposed to come out 2 years ago as a 35th anniversary, but because of the pandemic and supply chains and producers, I think her original producer, way back when, was passed away. She used another producer. So this record is a record of accidents. Normally, this record would have never gotten made. She was a nobody. She came out of college basically singing in coffee shops or college dorms by herself. They built a band around her, not to overpower her, but to complement her. And just like anyone who owns these songs, like Bruce, you know, Bruce is not overpowered by the band. Bruce is up front. That's just one example that I could use at this point. But this reminds me of James Taylor records, you know, things like that. Acoustic guitar, great vocalists, and poignant songs. Here she sings about racism, injustice, poverty, trying to escape your hometown with fast cars. You got a fast car. We got to get out of here. If we don't get out of here tonight, we're just going to go down that rabbit hole, and it's not going to get good. So overall, though, I give this record, content-wise, it's a 12. Sound-wise, I give it a 9 or a 10 because I'm very happy with the sound. I haven't heard the OG, so if someone's out there, some of my colleagues in the vinyl community, I'm hoping that someone does a shootout, and that's what I really want to hear. But overall, if you could pick this up, if you can't find it, of course, at a record shop, which is they're probably sold out, but pick it up from Rhino. Rhino will get it to you in a couple of days. Hopefully, it'll be shipped properly. It won't be bent or split. Rhino's doing a good job. I love Rhino, and just a great record. So I want to hear your comments if you heard it. It just came out a few days ago. The reissue just released. I was very lucky, and I'm going to post on the back end of this video 2 insert cards of my unboxing and of my trip to Walmart when I was pleasantly surprised. It was the first Walmart I hit, and I'm glad I hit it when I did because one record left. There were other people looking at albums. They would have snatched this up in a minute. So once again, sound quality is off the hook. Content, timeless content. I think this holds up better than some of the early Joni records or Joan records or Phoebe Snow records. This record is a one for the ages, the content, and that's why it was sought after. I only had it on CD, listened to it on and off. Another thing before I leave, TRACY is not yet in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's going to be a push now, I think, with the reissue and when she gets rediscovered. 61 years old. Based on this record, I would put her in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I'll give you another example. Robert Johnson, yeah, what did he do? 30 sides, 28 sides, Hall of Fame. The first Beatle record that they did for EMI, they would have been in the Hall of Fame. The first Elvis record from Sun Records, Hall of Fame, if nothing else. And I could go on and on and on. Maybe I'll do a video about that. But I think she gets in the Hall of Fame, you know, if not this year, maybe in a few years. But there's the insert again. I put it in a MoFi sleeve to protect it. This is not lined with anything, so if you do get this, be careful. You pull it out, you could scuff it. This record was quiet, dead flat. Heard a few, you know, like not even hiss, just a few flakes. But I've had worse records that sounded worse from David Gilmour's last record. If you watch my video on the last David Gilmour, Luckin', you know, Luckin' whatever that was. You know, I heard noise on that. Even hear noise on some Rhinos once in a while. But this record's pretty quiet. Sound quality's great. Even the lady of the house liked it, and that's saying a lot. So check it out. Let me know what you think, and I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed to us, to our channel, please consider it. Tell your friends to watch, etc., etc. Really helps us out. Keep on rocking. Stay safe. And I got a fast car. Ciao.